It's story time. Let's talk about the LA Marathon. So, the LA Marathon happened about 2 weeks ago, and I couldn't run it. As you guys saw in my previous video, I was very nervous but excited about the LA Marathon. It's been a bucket list item for me, especially since I started picking up this whole running thing over the last year and a half. I grew up in LA County, and so I've always wanted to run the LA Marathon. And when I started doing my runs, I was like, maybe I could, build my energy to run an LA Marathon. And that's why I had actually signed up for the LA Marathon right after my first marathon in 2025. I literally signed up about a week after. I was like, you know what? I ran my first marathon. Now it's time for the LA Marathon. And I had done 27 grueling week marathon training prep, and it was hard, difficult, but it was very much going to pay off in the LA Marathon. And I couldn't run it. So the plan was to go to the expo on Friday, the Friday before the LA Marathon. And my wife had actually booked a very expensive hotel near the finish line, so that way I could just run the race and then go back to the hotel and relax. She actually booked 2 nights, so that way I would have the rest of the afternoon, maybe even the evening, to relax before we head back home. And that was an amazing plan because I know how crazy it gets after the LA Marathon. But there was something lingering that started the Tuesday before the LA Marathon that I just could not get rid of. I started feeling some chills, some headaches, and some cough the night before on Tuesday. And so I decided, you know what, I might be getting sick. And of course, knowing me, I would get sick the week of the marathon. But it's still early enough. I can just go to the urgent care doctor. They can check me out, make sure if whatever it is, they give me medicine, and then I should be good to go by Sunday. Hopefully that was a plan, right? So the next morning, I go right away, drop my daughter off to school. I go to the urgent care right away. They said it's not COVID, it's not the flu, but it is some kind of other viral infection. Nothing we can do in terms of giving you medicine to get it gone, but just to rest and treat the symptoms. I'm like, okay, fine, that's what I'll do. I hydrated, I took all the cough medicine they gave me, and I just rested the entire week. I didn't do any of my shakeout runs or nothing like that, right? I just wanted to just really focus on resting up and being ready for the LA Marathon. And I was hoping that I would get better over the next few days. But what ended up happening was the exact opposite. I actually felt worse day over day. Each day I felt like I was getting worse off. I was getting more and more dehydrated. I was waking up all night with cough and just having to use the bathroom nonstop. Body aches, chills, everything. I took as many medicines as I could, Tylenol, all that stuff. Nothing got better. Friday came around, Expo Day, and I took my daughter to the expo with me, and I felt okay going there. I even got a new running shirt. I got hats for the girls to wear while they're cheering me on, and it felt pretty good. But I had to cut it short because I just was not feeling well. I just started to get that headache, the dizziness, all that kind of stuff came back. Expo was awesome. I wanted to stay there as long as I could. They had the Superblast 3s over there. I hadn't actually bought them at the time. I have bought them now. They're on the way. But I hadn't bought them. So I was like, maybe I could buy the Superblast 3s at the Expo. That could be a memory thing for me. But I just had no energy. I just couldn't even try them on. I had no energy to even speak because I was just coughing nonstop, all that kind of stuff. So I had to cut it short. I told my daughter, you know what, let's just go home. I don't feel too good. And I kept thinking, I still have a couple more nights to get better. So I said, let's just go home and rest up. And that way I can be ready for Sunday. Hang on. So Saturday rolls around and we go to the hotel. We have an amazing dinner, which I can't really appreciate. It's a carb-loaded dinner, all that kind of stuff. Still, I could not taste anything. I couldn't smell anything. I was dizzy, all that stuff. And we get back to the hotel that night, and I just don't feel good. Like, I genuinely don't feel like I've ever been this sick in the last almost a decade, I would say. I had all the body aches again, dizziness, back pain, just super dehydrated. I had been drinking electrolytes, Gatorade, water the entire week nonstop to hydrate myself. It was not enough. When I was trying to go to sleep, I felt a little bit of chest tightness. And I think at that point I was like, something else is happening, or this is going to get worse for me. So I turn to my wife and I tell her, I don't think I can even walk this thing. I feel like if I walk it, I'm probably gonna pass out or something's gonna happen to me because, mind you, if I would drink water or anything or any kind of liquid, I had to use the restroom within the next 10 minutes. It was just complete in and out nonstop. And I just told her, I'm gonna try again in the morning. I'm gonna wake up and see if I can push through it. But if I don't feel like I'm gonna be able to do this, I won't. And she, obviously the most supporting, loving wife she is, she's like, of course, I want you to be safe out there. I want nothing to happen to you. So if you don't feel good, don't do it, please. I wake up at 3:30, which is when I was supposed to wake up, trying to see, can I do this? Can I even walk this thing? And I just said, no, I can't. Because I actually felt worse that morning, surprisingly, which I didn't think it was possible. That morning, I was significantly dehydrated. I had to wake up every 30 minutes the night before to just use the bathroom and drink water and try to eat and all that kind of stuff. I got no sleep. I was very, very tired, very, very fatigued. And I know if I was even gonna walk out there, it was not gonna happen. So I told her, it's not gonna be the year for me, unfortunately. And it broke me a little bit because I know how much my family, invested their time and I know their money to, get me there and make this a very amazing experience for me. And it was, and that's what I really was hoping to use as my fuel to go out there. But I would have felt worse, and I know this would have happened if I had gone out there and I passed out or fainted. I probably would have felt worse because it's gonna be a very hot day as well, and I was already dehydrated. I can't imagine what would happen to me if I was already gonna be dehydrated running in that heat. So I made a difficult decision, just say, you know what, I'm not gonna do it. I know it sounds more dramatic than it is, but if you understand from my perspective, obviously, like, it was something I was looking forward to, and I felt like I put a lot of good training this time around into my marathon prep. So it was very disheartening for me not to be able to run, especially since I'm so close to the finish line. I'm right there. I can literally see the people finishing outside of our window. But that was how the LA Marathon went. So later on that morning, I get out of bed, again, the LA Marathon going on, and I still don't feel good. And as I tell my wife, I think I should just go to the ER. I think this is going to be the best thing for me because I still don't feel good. I still have a chest tightness. I just need to make sure it's not anything worse than what it is looking like it should be, which is a viral infection. So we check out the hotel early, we go to the ER, and they have to treat me for dehydration and nausea because I couldn't eat any food. And I was talking to the ER doctor earlier during the check-in, and he's like, it's good you didn't run because you probably would have passed out on the track. So it's a good thing that I didn't do the LA Marathon. He felt like I was significantly dehydrated, and he just said it's a good decision that I made, which helped me, relieve me a little bit because I knew in my mind and my body that, like, I just was not ready for that. I just felt like something was gonna happen, as far as like me passing out or me having to, DNF and all that kind of stuff. So I just said, you know what? I'm glad I made a decision, and there's always gonna be next year. That's what my wife and I kept telling me, like, it's okay, next year you can always do it again, and we'll do everything the first as we did this time too. So that was how my LA Marathon went. Started off very, very excited, and unfortunately ended up in the ER. So what now? Again, it's a story time. This is not necessarily my usual content, but I felt like this is gonna be what I need to, this is more of a reset for me as well. So what now going forward? I'll be honest with you guys, as I mentioned before, I had a 27-week training block for the LA Marathon. I chose the performance option in my run and training plan, and I think it was a little too much. I think I ended up doing way too many difficult workouts. My long runs, as I said in my previous video, I just couldn't do any long runs. I was constantly tired, all that kind of stuff. So I don't have necessarily any other races in mind. I had planned to run the Orange County Half Marathon, but I don't think it's going to happen anymore. I may do a half marathon sometime in June or July. I haven't signed up for any, but I won't do the Orange County half marathon as much as I want to. I won't do it. And my next official race that I have signed up for is the Long Beach Marathon. And that's going to be all in October. So what I plan to do over the next few weeks, months maybe, is to just take it slow. And what I mean by that is not decrease my mileage, but do more easy training runs, right? Build my aerobic base. Instead of focusing on trying to get faster and, going longer distance, I want to just focus on just improving my overall aerobic base, doing a lot more easy runs versus doing 2 or 3 hard sessions every single week. I'll still do a hard session maybe once, maybe twice a week. I don't know. But I'm going to prioritize easy running. I think this can be very, very important for me as I kind of prepare for my next marathon training plan. I kind of had just jumped from marathon training plan to another marathon training plan the last year, I would say. So it's probably going to be better for me to just kind of take in the next couple months or even 3 months to just take it easy, right? Still get my mileage around the same area, but more easy recovery runs. I think it will also be good because it's getting very, very hot in LA. Right now we're actually going through a heat wave, so me maybe adapting to the heat and running outside more and getting used to the heat will actually help my fitness as well, because I always struggle in the hotter weather. So I think that's going to be very, very important as well. So yeah, that is what I plan to do as far as training goes over the next 2 or 3 months. And the other thing I want to focus on, and I'm going to put a trigger warning here because I'm going to be talking about weight. And so if this is a triggering kind of subject for you guys, feel free to jump over to this timestamp here. I'll put it, and I'll also put a timestamp down below. You guys can jump to it because I know weight discussion can be very, very difficult for people to hear. But I'll be talking about my own personal weight and what I want to focus on over the next few months. So trigger warning, just feel free to jump if you need to. All right, so as far as weight loss goes, it's difficult. And I've said this before, it's very, very difficult to lose weight when you are running or training for a marathon or anything like that. Because you have to constantly be eating carbs and all that kind of stuff to kind of give yourself the body the fuel to continue to do your runs. And sometimes I know I'm guilty of this. I use the excuse of my running to overeat and not eat properly because I know I'm going to be running the next day for 2 hours in a long run. So I'm like, I'm just going to eat whatever I want. And that way I'll be, running, I'll have the fuel for the long run, whatever it might be, right? Saying that, I know I'm not going to be doing a caloric deficit kind of diet. I don't want to do a pure weight loss plan. I've done those before, and I know when I am underfueled, my running doesn't go too well. But what I'm going to focus on instead is eating proper foods. So eating whole foods and avoiding added sugars. So candy bars and all the other processed foods. I'm going to try to eliminate those out of my diet and experiment to see what works, to kind of get that proper fueling for me, eating more fruits as my source of energy and carbs, and then obviously veggies and all that kind of stuff. So eating more whole foods, I think that transition itself will help with my weight loss. And I think it will also help with me getting a good routine down as well. Because I know I don't eat properly. I know what I eat that I shouldn't eat. And so eliminating those things will hopefully result in some sort of good energy while also having some sort of weight loss. And another thing I haven't really talked about much on this channel because it's a medical issue that I have. And that is that I was diagnosed with prediabetes about a year and a half ago, roughly. As you know, as a pre-diabetic or even as a diabetic, one thing you have to try to avoid is carbohydrates, and one thing you need as a runner is carbohydrates. So over the next 2 or 3 months, I want to try to see what I can do and experiment on what kind of diet I can have so I can control the carbohydrate intake while fueling for my runs. I know I don't see a lot of literature there's some literature out there, but I don't see a lot of videos talking about this. I've been trying to do a lot of research on it. I just can't find anything conclusive or any good diets that people have. So I'm gonna be kind of experimenting to see what works for me, what doesn't work. If you guys want to see a video on that, I'll make one later on if there's enough, questions around it. But I think that's what I want to focus on, is to kind of balance the two, the pre-diabetes and the carbohydrate intake, and what can work for me, right? I also do want to talk to a dietitian and see what they recommend, because I think it's also important to get a medical professional. I asked my PCP, they didn't give me the most strongest answer. I'm a medical professional too, so I've also learned a lot around human physiology and anatomy, all that kind of stuff. So I know when I can tell when they may not be fully, up to date on it. But I feel like dietitians, that's their entire job. So hopefully I can talk to a dietitian that can tell me this is what I should do, this is what I should avoid, all that kind of stuff. But again, the next 2-3 months, I want to focus on also getting a good routine between carbohydrate intake and also preventing my prediabetes from getting worse as well. So while we're at this long form thing, I'm just going to make this video even longer. And I kind of wanted to talk about a controversy that had happened this year, and only this year, at the LA Marathon. If you guys don't know, there was an option given to the LA marathoners that if you don't feel good, or if you want, you can pull out essentially at mile 18 and still get your finisher's medal. Because the weather can be significantly hotter, they gave the option to just say, hey, you know what, if you guys want, you can just, exit on mile 18. There'll be a little pathway, whatever it was, and you can get your finisher's medal and you guys can be safe. And there was a lot of controversy around it. I genuinely understand where they're coming from, but I also don't understand what the issue was. My thing is, it's running. And the running community is one of the most supportive at times, and I feel like sometimes it's also can be a very toxic. So if someone had decided that it's better for my health that I just pull out on mile 18 and call it a run, that is completely fine. I saw all these arguments around, oh, if you run 18 miles, you should not get a finish medal, you should get an 18-mile medal. I don't think, obviously, organizers had time to think about that before. I think they had anticipated. Usually the LA Marathon is not as hot as it was. It's probably the hottest LA Marathon for a very long time. So they hadn't planned on it. And especially with all the stuff that happened in LA last year with all the fires, you guys probably saw this. There's a lot of just avoiding any kind of issues for the people running. This is not a world major. They want to make this a good experience for everybody. Give everyone the option. If it's too hot, feel free to exit the course and we'll still give you a medal. If you are someone who was adamant that, if I ran 26.2 miles and I get the same medal as an 18 mile, that's not fair. If you ran 26.2 miles, great. I probably would have done it. Even if I was going to be walking, I probably would have ran or walked the entire thing, because that's just me. That's how I am. Because for me, if I'm going to be running a marathon, I want to run a marathon, right? But I would never shame somebody who decided to leave at mile 18. That was the most, one of the most toxic things I saw is people talking about stolen valor, that it's not fair to the 26.2. It's not like someone's gonna be at mile 18 and say, oh, I ran a marathon in 2 hours, I'm faster than Kipchoge. That's not what was gonna happen. You could obviously tell who ran 18 miles and who ran 26, right? I just didn't understand why it was such a huge controversy. Right? It's better for people to just get the medal. I mean, I would support anybody who did that in mile 18 if they needed to, because fine, that is your prerogative. That is an option you're given. This is the same people that I felt were arguing for this or making this a controversy were the same people who look at a runner like me who runs a slow time of 12 miles, 12 minutes per mile, all that kind of stuff. And they would say, oh, well, you just walk a marathon. Don't say you ran a marathon. Don't say you did this. Like, they're very technical, because if you run anything less than a 4-hour marathon, you're slow. You might as well you're jogging a marathon, right? You're not a true runner. But they're the same kind of people. And I just didn't understand it. Maybe it's because of my perspective as a slow runner that I just I know I can empathize with people who decide to take that 18 mile. That's perfectly fine. If you look at their Strava time, it'll say 18 miles. They all know they did run 18 miles. That's okay. That is perfectly fine. So I did not understand it. I didn't know why it was such a big deal. And I hope that as a running community, we continue to get better. And really, as running has become a very popular sport now, I hope we continue that amazing community that we have, because that's what I experienced, and that's why I was more caught off guard by it, because the running community that I see on my channel and when I first started running was so positive. Everyone was out there, saying great job, like, keep going, you can get better. It was such a good community, and all of a sudden I see all these influencers, people just nonstop bashing it, and it was just like, where did this come from? This is not the same community that it has inspired me to keep doing this. If this was the same kind of controversy that if I had seen when I first started running, I would be like, well, why am I gonna run if people are gonna give me a hard time about mile 18, whatever, right? So that's my only rant. I just wanted to say I just didn't understand it, because again, that's not who we are as a running community. Hopefully we can be better, and we are much more supportive in everything that happens. Again, no one's taking your 26.2 away from you. It's not lessening your run and what you did. It's an option given to help protect some of the people who may have been too difficult. And there were a lot of people who had to be taken to the ER of heat exhaustion at the marathon. So it's a good option for people to just protect themselves, essentially. Okay, rant over. Well, you guys have it. That was my LA Marathon story. I do apologize that it took me so long to make this video. It's the first time in the last, I would say, week and a half to 2 weeks that I can actually string together sentences without coughing my lungs out. So that's why I wanted to make sure I kind of rest up afterwards. And I'm slowly getting back into running. My lungs aren't quite there yet, so I have had to do a lot more run walks and all that kind of stuff. But that is where I'm at. Let me know in the comments down below, what are you preparing for? Which race or which plan are you preparing right now? Or you can be like me, where you're just kind of trying to improve your fitness and kind of taking it easy during the summer months. Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.